Good evening, everybody. It's been a while since me and Ark here did this show here. In fact, I think the last show we did of this nature was about back in still 2020 there. And I forgot what kind of, I think it may have been 6 episodes, if I'm correct, we did of Movie Madness.
So 6 to 8.
Six to
I know
eight
we
there.
did the Godzilla
I
franchise.
remember, yes,
We
we
did
did that.
we did Ray Harryhausen in his movies.
I know, I gotta check out. I know we looked at Sheena, Queen in the Jungle. We also look at Battlefield Earth and Plan 9 of Outer Space. And all those.
And
I should.
Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate there. Yes, we did that. I'm trying to check. I tried to check it right now. So I'm thinking maybe this will be the seventh episode we did of our show, Movie Madness. Now, me and Ark haven't done any movie shows since I guess 2020, as we mentioned there, because we concentrated mostly on the music. But thanks to a suggestion and some of the topic that we talked about, the 1980s movie scene, about all the great movies that came out during that whole decade, we figured, you know what, it's time to talk about movies once again there. And we figured tonight would be a good opportunity. Now, last night I suggested we look at a couple of film series as one of our topics here. And there's a lot of film series that are out there. Of course, film series being, of course, a multiple of movies regarding the same subject there. Whether it's the Fast and Furious, the Star Trek, of course, the Carrie. Believe it or not, there was a couple other Carrie movies that came out just as well there, other than the '77 original. The Lost Boys. There were two more filmed years later after the first one in '87. Of course, there was a couple of movies out there. Of course, we know the Underworld series just as well there. That's been going. And there's talk right now there may be another Underworld movie in the works, believe it or not. Now, I believe we're maybe on episode 8 or 7 there. If it's not, I will correct it after we're done with the broadcast here or during the broadcast here. They got to check. We got so many episodes on the playlist of Arknolia and the Doctor that on my channel there, I got to go way back and figure out, where we left off there. But tonight we're going to be taking a look at, as I said in a YouTube short that I uploaded prior to heading home, we're taking a look at the baby of George Lucas, being, of course, Star Wars. One of the top leading Star Wars, just going to rephrase that, one of the top franchises in the sci-fi realm next to Doctor Who and Star Trek. Now, and with all the Star Wars channels, references, all the programs on Disney Plus, including The Mandalorian, The Bad Batch, The Book of Boba Fett, Tales of the Jedi. There was one in works for Ahsoka Tano, who was the Padawan of Anakin Skywalker. There was, of course, the Clone Wars years before there. There was all these, there was even the animated Clone Wars, a couple years back that ran on Disney, the Disney Channel there. I guess it was Disney XDR or something like that for the younger kids, older kids out there, I guess, ones that reach about 10, 9, 11 there. That was their goal there. Of course, we cannot forget the 9 movies, the Skywalker saga. Starting with, of course, the originals, the prequels, and the sequels. Now, you'll look at any poll on YouTube, and you'll see, no doubt, the originals outweigh the prequels, especially the sequels. You look at all the who would teach who would you go hand in hand on, who expect to win, Darth Vader or Darth Revan. Darth Vader wins each and every time because that dude was a beast. No doubt about that. Now, the last time we did a Star Wars show was back in 2020. It was me and Junebug, who I extended an invitation to be on the program tonight because he has stated he's a Star Wars fan. And of course, figure it would be a great topic for us to talk about here.
Yeah.
Since I'm still a Star Wars fan at age 56, you can't really help that. Star Wars, the references, the merchandise, everything out there just continues to go on and on and on and on. I mean, for example, myself there, I was always intrigued by Darth Vader, the breathing, the wardrobe, the armor that he wore, the deep voice that he had. Years on down the line, we will now realize why he needs that armor and why he needs that respirator or breathing apparatus that it's referred to now as, let alone the microphones inside of that mask. Because, Anakin
Right.
Skywalker, he got messed up after losing to Obi-Wan on Mustafar, man. And we're talking way messed up, man. Now, for those who should not know, Mustafar is basically a fiery lava planet. And when you're close to lava, something's going to give in. Your lungs may screw up, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, so absolutely there. I mean, you got to remember, his lungs got burned to a T there, so he has to have that machine attached to his chest 24/7. Now, let's go back to the original. Back then was known as just Star Wars. I saw that movie 3 times with my mom and my sister. You can't help but I couldn't help it because I was fascinated with the characters. I was fascinated with Darth Vader, the effects, the visual effects, which by the way won that movie an Oscar the following year. It was like one of the big moments of my life. It's like wow. From that moment on, I was into science fiction like crazy. Like Project UFO, a NBC show produced by Jack Webb. The Flash Gordon black and white series that me and my dad used to watch late Saturday evenings on public television. Remember seeing Close Encounters of the Third Kind soon afterwards. Every sci-fi movie that was out there, I was like, I'm there. I'm front in line. Big on science fiction, You know,
Yeah. They didn't tack on the New Hope till later on.
exactly,
It
yeah.
didn't.
And we thought and we didn't realize. I guess years on down the line, we realized they just started adding episode 4, 5, and 6 on it to her. But the question is, what about how it all started? Why? How it begin? That's when George Lucas decided to hey, let's go back to the very beginning when the Republic was in high form. Obi-Wan was a Padawan to Qui-Gon Jinn, his master, and how did Anakin Skywalker came to be and how did he turn to the dark side? This is where we end up with episodes 1, 2, and 3. Now, out of all the prequels, episode 3 was the main one because we got to see how Anakin Skywalker became the evil Darth Vader. And I think the big thing about that movie was to prove something that we knew for many years and was always proven right. The things we do for love. We sacrifice
Right.
ourselves, we sacrifice our values, family, traditions, everything for this one individual that we love. And then in
Yeah.
Anakin Skywalker's case, he sacrificed everything. And I think we all agree once and for all that the teachings of the Sith are the same as the teachings of Satanism. I mean, like Palpatine is kind of like the galaxy's version of Satan himself there when you look at it. Because, the Sith think inward only of themselves, gain all the power, destroy your mortal enemies, do not forgive them, which is basically the same things that Satanism teaches as well there. Me, 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 me. That's about it. And
Yeah.
one question I want to know is why couldn't the Jedi Council during the Clone Wars see that Palpatine? Couldn't they sense it that their Chancellor was a Sith Lord emerging to come out?
Yeah. You do kind of wonder about that.
Yeah, to say, but then again, Palpatine had this thing where I guess it was called Sith alchemy, where he was able to make his face look normal as hell. Whereas after you used the dark side for a long period of time, your skin you start to come deformed in a lot of ways. There, your skin starts to look scaly. You start to look, like not what you used to be. When you think about it, you also let's not forget the orange eyes you get when you turn evil like that. There, so it's going to be basically, it's like you transformed into a demon. Needless to say, there.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to say this about the sequels. They could have been. Episode 7 was pretty good there, but I was not happy about Han Solo dying at the hands of his son, the former Ben Solo, as Kylo Ren. I was not happy about the way they portrayed Luke Skywalker as this reluctant, not full of fear of the First Order there in Episode 8. A lot of people were upset over that. And he could have did a lot more better work on towards the end of Episode 9. They could have at least let Kylo Ren or Ben Solo live so he and Rey could be together, have a family, and start a third Jedi Order. Or they could at least have Ben alongside his uncle and his mom towards the end as Force ghosts. That would have been a better option there.
Yeah. Well, 7, 8, and 9 were different, shall we say.
It were more than different because it was under a different direction. Because Kathleen Kennedy now runs Lucasfilms there, and I guess I guess one of the problem is that Disney, like every other company, has to follow along with what's going on in society. And right now, what's
Right.
going on in society is this PC stuff, the political correctness. I mean, like at the end of the Rise of Skywalker, there was a same-sex couple, like two women kissing one another, hugging each other there. The idea was to make Rey this hero, but to make the male look like a doofus or something like that, like the way they made Luke Skywalker, this coward. Making this, of course, they're making Kylo Ren sort of emo-ish when you think about it there, in other people's perspective, knowing how he gets all frustrated when when one of his commanders we have forgot to inform you that, what does he do? He takes out his crossblade lightsaber all over the controls and everything, slash him all the bits. Jeez, I was like, damn, calm down, bro. The funny part about Episode 7 is that when Rey gets herself out of the that chair, that restraining that she was in there after she was captured. She escapes. She uses the Jedi mind trick, to get the stormtrooper to release her and drop his weapon. She walks. She escapes. Kylo Ren comes in. No. Takes out his lightsaber. Trashes everything. Guard! And two stormtroopers walk by and try to walk by like, we turn back. That was a funny moment there. My nephew were laughing hysterically after that. It's like, obviously for a good reason there.
Right.
Yep. All right.
Well, one of the rumors I heard about A New Hope when it first came out,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know how true this is, but Lucas's intent, if they were going to do a part 2,
Mm-hmm.
was that Luke and Leia were going to be the couple, and Han Solo was just another character, nothing special.
Yeah.
But then it changed, obviously,
Obviously, yeah.
and they made Luke and Leia brother and sister, and spoilers.
Okay, there.
Movie's
Yeah.
50 years old, and we're talking spoilers.
I know, yeah. But probably the biggest surprise of the Empire Strikes Back was the fact that Darth Vader was Luke's father. We will find out the details in episode 6 later on from Yoda. And then at first when you first saw that scene in Empire. Did you think Darth Vader was trying to trick him or something like that there?
Well, it's hard to say, but he was so sincere that I did believe him.
Mm. I know, but I thought it was a trick at first. I asked my ma, who was with us at that time, along with our dad and sister, like, is he trying to trick Luke? Obviously, I think so, she replied. And then, of course, when we found out in episode 6 that he was Darth Vader's father, and he turned to the dark side. He basically was seduced by the dark side, according to Obi-Wan there. And,
Right.
yeah. Of course, like, probably the most touching moment following the Battle of Endor was, Luke trying to rescue his father after his father rescued him from Palpatine's Force lightning.
Right.
Yeah, but it's kind of like the same thing as being electrocuted when you think about it there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and also let's not forget, reveal Anakin Skywalker turning back to the light side there. But the thing is, seeing him as the way he was after that helmet and mask was removed from him, you could see that he was like a broken man.
Right.
And his skin was all pale. Well, obviously, when you think about it, he spent 20 plus years inside of a suit, unable to go out in the sun for a good reason there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he did remove it once in a while. They showed a scene of him doing that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, he had to be placed in a Baca tank, of course, with that breather thing in there, like I said, because he has no lungs. And of course, he had to when that's all done, he got to, of course, put all that stuff back on him as well there, including the helmet, including the mask, And the suit itself, believe it or not, was made to be imperfect for a reason. The boots he wore was placed on him was heavy, hard to walk in at first. He was able to raise his arms like he was too because of the armor, obviously, on the shoulder pads there. And plus there are a lot of needles and pins sticking into his brain there when you look at it. And also, let's not forget, the synthetic skin that was placed on him was itchy as hell. All that was done to make him keep him in a rage. Because, let's face it, who the heck wants a calm, cool, and collected Sith Lord? Doesn't work
Right.
like that. And plus, it was made on purpose for another reason. To punish Vader for losing to Obi-Wan.
Right.
Yeah.
Of those middle three movies,
Mm-hmm.
New Hope, Return of the Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Empire Strikes Back, yes.
Empire Strikes Back,
Yeah.
which did you see as the most significant or your favorite, you might say?
I would have to say Return of the Jedi. Well, I'm kind of cross between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi because New Hope was the one that really got me into Star Wars altogether there, and plus the Return of the Jedi because obviously we see Anakin Skywalker redeemed back as Anakin Skywalker thanks to his son.
Right.
Because everybody, when you look at it, everybody kind of turned their back on the Anakin Skywalker, the Jedi
Mhm.
Order, his Padawan, Ahsoka Tano, everybody else, except his son. His son was there to the very end.
Yeah. Yeah.
And plus, when you look at it, how can you? And when you look at your son being electrocuted by your master, you could take action, and that's what
Right.
that's what Vader did. And in the process of that cost him his life. That messed up his cybernetics.
Yeah. I'd have a hard time picking a favorite because in their own way, each was a masterpiece
Yeah,
of what they did and how they told the story
yeah,
and things of that nature.
yeah.
And obviously, all three were better than the prequels and the
Especially the sequels there. I mean,
yeah.
when you look at it, but now we come to the sequels, and of course, a couple years prior to episode one, The Phantom Menace coming out, of course, all three were back in the theaters, remastered and remixed with extra footage added to in as well there, and that was done for a
Right.
reason because we have reached a new age of electronics, CGIs and everything else there, and of course, it was to see the prequels come out alongside the originals as they were at that time in its original theatrical form would be like way primitive. Let's touch up the three originals to make them more in line with the prequels there. So that was basically the whole point of the touch ups and the extra scenes that were added in there.
Now, the three prequels, I kind of liked them for what they were, especially the third one, because you got a chance to see Anakin become Darth Vader,
Yep.
and you got to see the birth of Luke and Leia
Yep.
and why they were where they were and things of that nature.
And plus,
Because,
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
And plus, that movie was also the answer to a lot of other questions, like how is Mustafar burned so bright, like it did at the while Luke stares at the moon and Mustafar in Episode 4, and also how did Obi-Wan get a hold of Luke's father's lightsaber,
Right.
and it also shows why Yoda hid it in that swampy planet like he did for so many years there.
Right.
So there was a lot of questions asked after, of course, in episode 3 there that we were never able to get any answers in the originals there.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job of setting up A New Hope.
They did, exactly. And I still remember all the toys, that Kenner, the toy company Kenner put it out there. All the action figures, all the toy TIE fighters, X-wing fighters, everything. You name it. It was like it was all over the place. The comics. Marvel Comics had some special issues spotlighting on Star Wars. I guess battles in between the episodes there, here going down there. I mean, like we're still Star Wars comics today.
Right. Right.
Oh yeah, my nephew just DM'd me. Obi-Wan had Anakin's lightsaber because after he picked him up after chopping off his legs there. That's true there.
Wow.
James, you want to get on Skype? Want me to add you on Skype there if you have a Skype account so we could talk about it? Okay, he says no. All right, he's busy right now. All right there. So the sequels. A lot of people out there were pretty upset over the sequels because, Luke being portrayed as a reluctant man who doesn't want to be a Jedi no more after the destruction of the second Jedi temple, training his nephew Ben Solo. And I talked about this in a video that I did a long while back, and apparently one of the big reasons why Ben became Kylo Ren under the tutorship of Snoke was because of neglect from his parents, Han Solo and Leia Organa.
Yeah. Just to give you an example of my feelings on these, the middle three I've seen many times.
Mm-hmm.
The first three I've seen pretty good bit.
Mm-hmm.
The last three I've seen once each, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
That was my only, I just didn't enjoy them near as much as the first six,
Well,
especially the middle three.
I know. Especially, well, of course, obviously, like I said, that was Kathleen Kennedy's, doing up there. And, of course, Dizzy getting involved in here. as well. Because plus, I don't understand why they had to mess with some of the. I guess what it was is that there was a Jaden solo and another solo around who turned to the dark side, but I understand. There were so many stories about Star Wars and in between, what went on here and there. It's like it's hard to keep track on who will watch on which and what there because there's so many books, there's so many comics, there's so many things out there. Like it's endless. The
Yeah.
books, the books. We got to acknowledge the books as well. I mean, like probably one of the biggest in book on the bookshelf around 1984 was Splinter in the Mind's Eye.
Yeah.
That was a big that novel made it big there. We have all the other books that are out there called Dark Desires, detailing the romance between Quentin Vaz, a Jedi, and the one-time Sith apprentice, Assad Ventress. She would later, after Dooku's death, she later departed and became a bounty hunter, I guess. Her and Quentin Vos had a quick romance until her death there. And of course, we have all the other shows on Disney Plus, The Mandalorian, which takes place after the fall of the Empire, a few years after that. We have the movie Solo, which was probably the only movie in the Star Wars movie franchise which did not do so well. We also,
Right.
which kind of like takes place in between episodes 3 and 4, but probably the best in between story would have to be Rogue One, which
Hmm.
details how the Death Star plans got into the hands of the rebellion to begin with. And plus, we had Endor, which was on Disney Plus as well, detailing how the rebellion first got started. We have the Book of Boba Fett there, which details probably one of the most popular bounty hunters next to Dwayne Dog Chapman. We also have, of course, the Bad Batch about these clone troopers there, from what I understand. And we also cannot forget, of course, forget the Clone Wars, which details went on between episodes 2 and 3. Now, I'm not too sure that how long the Clone Wars actually lasted. And of course, but then again, you gotta remember, these are a good number of years in between the episodes here, when you think about it there.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been a lot of
A lot of what?
type of there's been a lot of spin-offs.
Yep. Or
I mean, a
offshoots.
lot of them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And the guys, and the two guys right now that are really keeping Star Wars as powerful as it is, have to be two people: Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. And with the help of course, Mr. Lucas himself there.
Right.
And I guess they had a big party, in the Mandalorian, especially with the end of season 2, where Luke Skywalker comes in to rescue little Grogu, aka Baby Yoda, as he was first referred to when that show started.
Yeah.
The way Luke battled off all those mechanic death troopers there was phenomenal, without a doubt. There, the other episode that was mostly popular was one where we see Ahsoka Tano, portrayed by what's her name, Rosario Dawson, I think it's called.
Could be. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I know. If anybody knows her how her name is pronounced, first name that is, feel free to let me know in the chat here. And of course, Filoni and Favreau have been considered one of the they even received a big thank you from Mark Hamill himself, who was very critical of the way Luke was handled in Episode 8. He even thanked
Right.
them, even thanked those two for making, in a way, kind of like making Luke like a fierce badass once more. afraid of nothing. Now, there are other characters that deserve to be mentioned as well. Admiral Thrawn. I'm not too sure about the background of this guy, but he had blue skin there, and I guess he was one of the admirals within the Empire there. And plus, we also got other characters like there was talk about having a Ahsoka Tano series on Disney Plus, and I'm sure you probably saw the video where I suggested the idea of adventures of Rey Skywalker after Episode 9. Her adventures of how she restores order throughout the galaxy. Does she start a new Jedi Order, or does she handle it on her own? Plus, a idea for how Ben Solo got into the dark side and became Kylo Ren. Now, going back to what I said about neglect being the purpose for Kylo Ren emerging, you got to remember, Luke and Leia didn't really last that long, unfortunately. They even broke up after they officially got romantic towards the middle of Episode 5. Whether it's
Right.
two different identities or personalities or whichever there. But Leia was more consumed by the politics, while Han was back doing this smuggling business there. And of course,
Right.
Luke had, he was basically training little Ben there, if I understand. But I guess it wasn't enough for poor Ben, who kind of needed some of that focus, needed some of that teaching, needed some of that guiding. And of course, Snoke came into the picture. And of course, we all know what happened afterwards.
Right.
Yeah. Now, you got to give it up to Kylo Ren. He had an interesting outfit in a lot of those sequel episodes there. You may remember I dressed like Kylo Ren a couple of times at Numbers nightclub in downtown Houston. I dressed like him at the 2021 Renaissance Festival back in Texas there. In fact, that's where I got my lightsaber from. They had this thing called Crimson Dog. They had a excuse me there. In fact, let me get it right now. Me, my nephew, and his friends and his daughter and his friend and his daughter got themselves a little lightsaber from this company called Crimson Dawn, which you order online. Now, Crimson Dawn is the name of a crime syndicate featured in the comics. It was also briefly mentioned in the Solo movie. Let's see if we can turn it on here. Here we go. Nope, it's on. Yeah, you can hear it in the background. Now, this is what I did not want. I didn't want the new soundtrack. I just wanted the lightsaber. It's blue right now. It's able to press a few buttons. You're able to, I got to get my nephew in here to shut this damn thing off there. Give it a couple of minutes. So I'll let you talk there, Ark, while I get this bullshit taken care of. It is kind of loud. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I kind of briefly covered the stuff I sort of knew. I mean, I enjoyed the heck out of the second trilogy, 4, 5, and 6. And I liked the prequels for what they were.
Mm-hmm.
And I just honestly didn't enjoy the sequels.
Oh, yeah. Well, the sequels could have been a lot better written, when you think about it there. For example, I was viewing online some draft artwork for the, what could have been like, say, Episode 9. It was supposed to have been originally called Duel of the Fates instead of The Rise of Skywalker. And they had a lot more interesting details in those graphic drawings as well there. Like, stuff that should have been made it on the big screen. But then again, you got to remember, this is Disney. Disney tries to appeal to the young kids out there. And they're afraid that the execution scene in the public by the First Order, that may be a little bit too graphic, let alone dark. That was one of the images
And
I saw as well.
speaking of appealing to kids, Jar Jar Binks.
Oh gosh, who came up with that idea? This guy.
Basically, it was kind of to, oh, let's get something that'll make a great toy.
It's
That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
I know. It's like when I know you. One of the remember things I saw when episode 1 came out was these coloring books, like Anakin's coloring fun, as well as Jar Jar's coloring fun. But yet Jar Jar
Yeah.
was annoying as hell. And now they're saying that
Oh boy.
I know it's like they were saying that Jar Jar later turned to the dark side, and I guess that because Jar Jar appointed Palpatine as the new chancellor instead of him, people really got on Jar Jar's case after that. Because this was a dictatorship, no matter what, communist Russia.
Yeah.
Right there. Hey, Extreme Chef, I'm glad you're in my chat here. Would you like to join the call, dude? Let me know in the chat if you are interested in being on the program with us. All right there. Now, would you like to see an episode move the through trilogy on the Old Republic?
That would probably be a pre-prequel.
Yeah, it's absolutely there. I mean, like, we already have games out there like Tales of the Old Republic out there, Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, all those games. Lots of games out that are out there. I mean, there was one even a game where the Rebellion were the bad guys and the Empire were the good guys there. And at the end, Palpatine is like, once again, peace is restored in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, that's of course from Palpatine's point of view, being the liar that he is. Of course, I'm still waiting for that thing to end there. Now, I'm going to try and add Extreme Shaft to the call there, if I can there. Or better, let me try to get a hold of Foulmouth Ken, if he is busy at the moment there. Because I would like to have a third individual in this discussion here. Because he did say that after seeing Rise of Skywalker, that usually the third ones are the best out of the all three, all the trilogies there. And it's still going on. I gotta do something about it. Stupid me. Well, then I haven't used this dang thing in a long while there. So I know sometime I want to get in my Kylo Ren outfit and and nephew and his or whatever outfit he has and do a duel sometime in the backyard, sometime late at night, I guess. Now, let me see if I can shut this damn thing off. Let me shut this thing and music off here. Give us. Okay. All right, there. Let me give it a couple of here for 3 blinks. It's not gonna stop anytime soon, damn it.
Doesn't have a stop button?
There is now, but you gotta go through press it how many times there.
Oh.
We know that, Darth.
Uh-huh.
James, can you come in and shut this thing off for me? Oh, jeez. Okay, I hope it just shut off pretty soon there. Now, I should also add that yes, my nephew's here. Yeah, I'm trying to shut this thing off there. My nephew just came.
The
Now,
sound or
yeah,
the
the sound. Yes, I'm trying to. He's a better expert at this here. Now, during the Renaissance Festival a couple years, more than a year ago, we had me, my nephew. We had a thank you so much. It's driving me nuts there, man.
welcome?
Welcome. Now, we had a cool. Yeah, I guess Dave Robes was like kind of surprised that I would dress like a Star Wars character, especially in a Renaissance festival. But then again, I've been known not to think within the box. Remember, came in there one time a couple years before, dressed as the Fourth Doctor, and it's
Right.
cool. But and I'm glad my sister was able to get this on her Facebook page. Me, my nephew, and a couple others doing the lightsaber battle in a Renaissance festival. I figure if there's a Renaissance festival here in Florida, I'd definitely like to go dress as Kylo Ren once more because that was always a popular favorite there, as well as at Numbers nightclub. A gal pal I know named Pockets, she knew right away who was trying to be there. In fact, I got a lot of applause for the dressing as Kylo Ren once more and bringing the lightsaber with me, wheeling in the air like I was. People were clapping like crazy. So I made a good impression on that evening. This was Halloween night there at that club there. Um, so we.
When I went to see
Go ahead.
when I went to see the original Star Wars New Hope,
hmm
I was living in Fort Worth, Texas
hmm
when it came out, and the theater I went to was one of those old styles that had curtains covering the screen, and it opened up in the grandiose fashion that it did.
Yep, I remember
And
that.
then the movie started, and it was like, oh my gosh. After I saw it, it was like, this has to be one of the best movies ever made.
Oh man. I remember when I first saw the Star Destroyer from underneath going after that ship. It's like wow, the way they positioned that was like holy cow. That was a trip.
Yeah,
And of course, Darth Vader coming in through in with the breathing and all that stuff. Of course, years later on, we figure out how he got that way. Of course, now the years took the years to find out the reason why there.
right.
hmm Now, keep in mind, there's also there been a Darth Vader comic series that have been out for a while there, detailing his whereabouts and his adventures, the things he's been doing between episodes 4, 5, and 6. There, at one point,
Right.
there was one comic of where he tries to find the body of Padme Amidala, his late wife. He invades her tomb under of course, he tries to break it into over their tomb, and all that stuff there. He returns to the Empire. He returns to the Emperor, who punishes him, for being soft. Apparently, when
Yeah,
you're not supposed to be soft at all when you're a Sith Lord. You're supposed to be hard edge, mean at all the times there. And what he did is he electrocuted or used force lightning on Vader, basically doing damage to his legs, to his legs there. I guess
right.
he was later taken to Mustafar, left on the planet, where he was left the last time by Obi-Wan, to fend for himself. And in this challenge, he was not allowed to use the Force or anything. He had to rely on his old skill. No, he was able to. Now he was able to get himself new limbs from some robots that were laid to rest there. Got one of those programmed, little GoBots that you see on the floor at times there. To program them to get him some limbs, so where he's able to attach them by himself there. And he he was able to come forth and rise again. And at the same time, Ochi of Bastoon, a Sith assassin, was hired by Palpatine to go strike him down.
Right.
Now, eventually, Ochi will later become an assistant to Vader. You okay there? Ark?
Mm-hmm.
You okay there? I was heard
I'm there.
of. Okay, I was talking
Yeah,
to
it's
someone else.
hiccuping.
Oh, okay. Let's make sure you're okay there. Anyways, and believe it or not, in the comics there, Vader and Ochi make it to Exegol, the hidden world of the Sith.
Right.
Now, originally the Sith had started on the planet known as Korriban. They did, I guess, when things went the wrong way there, they decided to go to Exegol, which is this dense, dark world, dust in the air, name it, you name it. No sign of light anywhere. Yes, what's up? I will, yes. Okay, gotcha. I will. Yeah, my sister coming in reminded me to take care of something when we're done with the show here. Now, of course, and that's when we see in the comics there when Vader sees the all the Star Destroyers being manufactured that we will later see in the Episode 9 at the beginning there. Palpatine had a lot of planned. Now, another question is, how in the heck did the Emperor survive that fall down the shaft?
Right.
I think what it was is that I guess at the end when we see him in Episode 9, he was still managed to live, but somehow he's in this contraction where he was unable to move. I guess he needed some life force, to make him whole once again. And his eyes was white because of some cataracts developing in there in his eyeballs. And you look at his fingers, how old crippled they look there. It's like, holy cow. Was this a clone? Was this the actual individual himself, paralyzed because of that fall?
Yeah.
That
makes you wonder.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like some people are able to survive a fall, but chances are they're not going to be the same in terms of walking or running or playing hide and go seek. Either way, there.
Right.
So it makes you wonder about that. But like a credit to actor Ian McDiarmid, he did a great job as Palpatine. He always be the old Palps. Now, one of the most interesting scenes in Episode 9 was when he looks up, he sees the Resistance taking on all those taking on the Final Order, I should call it there. And
Right.
he raises up his arms and he says, "Do not worry, my faithful. Nothing will stop the return of the Sith." And all of a sudden, Force lightning shoots out of his fingertips, just like that. It's just like, holy cow. Imagine hearing that with the bass turned up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, Palps dropping the bass on the Resistance. That's got to be a big boom right there.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly, man. And also, by the way, here's something else. The lightning, that little shots of light on Exegol there. They were suggesting that people who with epilepsy not see or turn their heads during the Exegol scenes, because that kind of stuff will cause someone with epilepsy to have seizures.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And you got to remember, Exegol is known for a lot of flashing lights.
Right.
Now, I'm going to look into something here. Let me, what's going on? I'm going to look on Exegol here. I reading it about a few times here about Exegol here. Let me see here. Let me look it up there. Give me a couple of minutes there, dudes. You gotta remember that also a lot of the dark soundscape, some of the techno and soundscape sets I have, have been themed around Star Wars for a lot as of late there.
Yeah.
Exit call. No, it's a not exit call. Give me a break, man. I gotta do this again. Sometimes I hate this thing here. There we go. Let's do this. Let's go up here. Okay. Exit call. It is a dark planet hidden from the galaxy there. Blah, blah, blah. It was located within the unknown regions that, according to the legend, was the hidden redoubt world of the Sith. It was occupied by the Sith Lord Darth Sidious, Emperor Palpatine, and the Sith Eternal by 35 ABY. It was also the birthplace of Supreme Leader Snoke, whom Sidious created to rule the First Order while concealing himself in the shadows. Exegol was used to hide the Final Order, which was a fleet assembled by Sidious and the Sith Eternal, from where they planned to deploy their Star Destroyers and establish a new Sith Empire. Exegol was the site of a battle between the war between the First Order and the Resistance, which saw the defeat of the Sith Loyalists. It was a dark, barren, and rocky planet with desert flats. Its dry conditions, combined with the rubbing of dust particles in its atmosphere, created enormous static discharges that appeared as lightning strikes from the planet, which made the atmosphere too dangerous to deploy deflector shields. The desolate world was covered with enormous fissures that reached deep into the crust. These were excavated by Sith loyalists who attempted to reach a transportive versions they believed to be beneath the surface. And the darkness was so extreme that an astronav droid RSEF-FNG was needed to optimize to work in its environment. The nearby space was littered with remains of Magnifica, Fauna, resulting in formation of a cloud of red gas and stardust forming around the world, which caused a navigation barrier known as the Red Honeycomb Zone. Wow, interesting there. The darkest of all planets, needless to say, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, where do we see Star Wars go from here? We already have the Skywalker saga is done and finished. Do we get to see a new trilogy come up, and take place years before the prequels? Or do we see a new batch of characters coming in here?
Well, it's basically getting to the point it almost has to be a new batch of characters.
I'm thinking so, yeah, because many of the old characters have been rehashed so many times. I mean, like Han Solo is no Han Solo no more. There's no Princess Leia no more. There's no Luke Skywalker no more. They've all had passed on. Yoda passed on. Vader passed on. Or Anakin Skywalker passed on. Padme passed on. Everybody passed on. Come on. We had to have somebody new. Now, the game.
Yeah.
Now, I guess what it is now is that we have to come up with something new. Is there going to be a new Jedi Order, another new Republic, or something else, or what?
If we do something, I think what you're going to see is not actual people like, Harrison Ford and all of them.
CGI.
You're going to see
computer.
Yeah, and characters.
Yeah.
Like a Yoda or whatever.
Well, keep in mind, Yoda was computerized in the prequels instead of where in the originals he was like it was actually a puppet operated by Frank Oz and voiced by Frank Oz as well.
Yeah,
The same guy who did the voice for Fozzie the Bear from the Muppets.
yeah. Puppet he was.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was my Yoda impression.
Exactly. You know what's kind of funny? It's like I found myself doing this, talking the same way as Yoda did. You know, he often did things a little backwards, like menacing. This man is a threat. This council is, or calamity. This romance is reaching the breaking point. This war is. Yeah, he was always been known to do talk like that a lot in the prequels there. But you know what? Again, one of his
Yeah,
best quotes was in episode 5. Do there is do or do not. There's no try. You know, and that's can be interesting. It's a
yeah,
form of inspiration there.
yeah. That was right after Luke told him, I'm going to try. And then he says, no, do or do not. Don't try.
Exactly. You know, precisely. And I know we did. I know a lot. You remember we did the special on Carrie a couple years back
Yeah,
around 2020. You know, like we got to talk about references in everyday life there. With the 2013 remake of Carrie, the Stephen King novel from '75, there, many people in the chat of in the comments of the prom destruction scene of that version there obviously noticed that she was like really using the force when the way her movements, her hands was like clenching in on one scene there. Darth Carey was
right.
being mentioned there. I couldn't resist but put something in there that got thousands of likes there. I said, Emperor Palpatine, quote, your feeble skills are no match for the power of the dark side. Carrie White, hold my drink. I had to do that. I just had to do that because when you think about it, this girl was like a Sith Lord in the 2013 remake there. You watch that whole
Oh, yeah.
destruction scene in there, you know what I'm talking about there. Now, with all the references of Star Wars, Darth Vader, and everything else there, and it also fits to say that there has been talk about making a suit for those who have been badly burned in fires, whether it's a house fire, factory fire,
Oh,
or
wow.
well, now I don't know if it's true or not, but there was mentioning of that in one of the online articles I remember reading a couple years ago there about placing someone in a suit for a time being, not 20 plus years or life there like they did with Darth Vader, but for a long while till their
Right.
skins got started to heal. You know,
Mm.
yeah,
That'd be kind of tough. I don't know if
it
I'd want to do that, but I
no.
guess,
Well, at least,
you do what you have to do.
exactly. But at least you won't have to rely on a respirator attached to your chest 24/7. That's true. You got to think
Right.
about that. You know what? Let me see. Let me see a little something here. I want to find out for something here. Blah 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 here about lava and what it can do to the lungs. Let me look this up here. Okay, let me go up here because I was been intrigued about that before starting the show here. How close do you have to be to lava before it to damage your lungs? Let me try this. We'll find out. All right, there. How close can I get to lava? Will it hurt or kill me? Although it depends on what kind of lava flow it is, whether it's upwind, downwind. For example, the most approachable lava is, you okay, man? hiccups again?
Yeah,
Okay, there.
fun.
Okay. The most approachable lava is somebody called Pahoehoe. Pahoehoe. I don't know if that's how it's exactly pronounced, but this is because each toe forms an insulating skin seconds before emerging onto the surface. This skin is at first flexible and then hardens, but even when it's flexible, it's a good insulator. This serves as an interior to the active pahoehoe toe hot and fluid, but also prevents you from getting burned on the radiant heat. If the wind is at your back, you can easily approach long enough and close enough to get a sample with a hammer. It is still hot unless you are well protected, so you can only be that close for a minute or two. You can also notice that as
That
soon... Go ahead. You were going to say?
that almost sounds like a Hawaiian word.
Yeah, dear.
It almost sounds like a Hawaiian word.
Po ho ho. If
Yeah.
that's how it's pronounced, I could be wrong up there. Remember, I didn't find about this word myself there. I'm going to look at here. How far away a lava is safe here? Now, let's hear. It says here, how close can you get to lava without protection? It says here, if the wind is at your back, you can easily approach long enough and close enough to get a sample with a hammer. It's still hot unless you're well protected. It can only be that close for a minute or so. So basically, it is very. What happens if you inhale lava? If inhaled, volcanic ash can cause breathing problems and damage the lungs. Aha, we were correct. Inhaling large amounts of ash and volcanic acids can cause a person to suffocate, and suffocation is the most common cause of death from a volcano. So this probably explains why Anakin Skywalker's lungs went to crapola after his defeat on Mustafar there, because he was close to that river of lava. So for it to...
And it kind of explains the people of Pompeii.
Exactly, yeah. That was another one there. Wow. Now, I think we have reached the end of the program here, I guess you could say here. And I guess,
Yep.
I guess if we get I guess YR is taking a break from YouTube, and I guess Keith is unavailable. I tried to get other people on the call there. But what do we talk about next week on next Thursday, I should say?
Yeah, because Wednesday is a continuation of the 80s.
That is true there, yes. True. Okay. All right. So I'm thinking about
Needs to be something we've both seen.
Like you saw the original Carrie, right?
Hmm.
Okay, I'm looking to reprise the discussion about that movie there and the message behind it there. And we'll talk.
Yeah.
And also, we could
Okay.
possibly talk about also Underworld, which, by the way, there's supposed to be works of a...
I haven't seen any of those.
Oh, I saw a couple of them, especially I guess it was Awakening. Yeah. Well, either way, we'll definitely talk about this, Carrie, on the next Movie Madness episode there. We're going to talk about all the movies and as well as the musical. That I cannot explain, that's for sure there. But we'll definitely talk about Carrie next Thursday and the message that it implied to us. Now we'll definitely talk about that there. All right, so I hope YR is doing well, and I hope Keith is doing well as well there. Hopefully we get to see him next week on our music show, Music Maniacs. And before we go, once again, as I mentioned last night, go to patreon.com and to sign up for Arknolia's Patreon page there. Go to simply patreon.com/Arknolia. There's lots of episodes there, ranging from movies, music, television, pro wrestling, sports, you name it there. Me, Keith, and YR make a
Lots of
couple.
stuff.
Yeah, we made a couple appearances talking about Batman, Superman, all the cartoon shows that we grew up watching as kids. You name it. I'm running out of things to say, man. I'm sorry about that, folks, listening. So either way, we'll be heading out for the evening there. We'll be back next Wednesday with
Yep.
Music Maniacs, and next Thursday, Movie Madness. Once again, there. All right, for Ark and myself, you guys enjoy the